Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Port St. Lucie, everybody here, and as John Hayes would say, the tens of thousands at home on YouTube. Please stand and join us in our opening song, One Light. The graphics department has been working on new slides, I see. All right, as you settle back into your chair, let us join our hearts and minds together in our prayer for inner peace. Creator of all that is, I open my heart and mind this morning to the presence of God that is within me and in everyone and everything, that one power and one presence. I let God's peace fill my being. In this presence, I am peaceful, poised, confident, and strong. I relax in God's loving care and release all my cares, knowing that God is upholding me and sustaining me in all that I do. God's presence calms me, quiets the storms around me, and leads me to a place of perfect peace. As I center myself in that peaceful presence this morning, I let go of every concern and relax in the safety of God's love and in the love of those around me. I find Unity of Port St. Lucie a sanctuary of love and peace, and I am open and receptive to receive all it has to soothe my mind and soul this day. And so it is. Amen. If you would join me in our statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in my life and in the universe, God the good, omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. And our values. Unity of Port St. Lucie encourages diversity and embraces harmonious and creative pursuits of truth and knowledge in a safe environment to achieve balance and wholeness in the world. And now please join us in our congregational song, Happy Day.
I'm glad to wake this happy day. I'm glad to see you here with me. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Sing with me. I'm blessed to see this happy day. My heart is filled with love from God.
For the daily word today, we have a last-minute substitution. Nancy Cowles is going to read the daily word today.
Yes, thank you, Linda. It's been so long since I've read. It's like I don't know if I know how to do it. My faith keeps me focused on God. I may not be able to control what happens around me, but I am always free to choose what happens within me. My perception determines my experience. I begin with faith. I choose to see the vibrant wholeness that is present even during illness. I open my heart and mind to the harmony that I know is possible, even in the midst of apparent discord. When my needs appear greater than my resources, I remind myself all supply springs forth from the inexhaustible well of divine substance. I am reassured by remembering all situations are temporary, and God is greater than every circumstance. Through my faith, I align my thoughts with the divine and believe in this truth that sets me free. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, "Be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it will obey you." Luke 17:6. Join me in today's affirmation. My faith keeps me focused on God.
As we prepare for meditation with Reverend Linda Machezik, please join us in singing Surely the Presence.
It is true, friends. The presence of God is everywhere. Right here, right now. Everywhere. Let us breathe it in. Let us relax into it. Let us merge with it, become consciously aware of our oneness with it. For there is no separation between us in the energy field we call God. We take this time together each and every Sunday to affirm this great truth and bring it into our awareness and sit with it. Allow it to penetrate deep into our very DNA. God and we are one. Breathe the oneness. Feel yourselves relax deeply into this great truth. Focus on your breath. Direct it right into your heart space, the seat of your very soul, the throne of the Christ within you, the place from which your love emanates, the place from which your peace and your joy emanate. That sacred, sacred throne within you. Breathe into it. Relax and focus on it. And into your experience of this oneness this morning, bring the entire world. Bring every nation, bring every sentient being into your experience. Just know that you're doing so. Just know it. Don't doubt your power to do it for 1 second. Breathe it. Know it. Realize it. Experience it. This world, this beautiful, beautiful world, the world we love, the world we inhabit, the world we share with people we'll never meet, the world that is perfect on some level. We claim that perfection right now in our morning meditation. I invite you for a few moments in the silence to imagine it and to feel it so that you know it in the silence, friends. And then very slowly and very gently, very lovingly, return your attention to the outer. Knowing that you bring this renewal with you now. Knowing that when you open up your eyes, your light shines brighter. Knowing that the day ahead and the week ahead is anxiously awaiting your presence. When you're ready, open up your eyes and ground yourself in the song about love. Good morning. What a glorious day. What a glorious week it's been with this breeze. Isn't it delicious? And a temperature and not so much humidity. Woo! My windows have been open and my drapes have been flying in the breeze and my house is all fresh. It smells good. I love it. I love these temperatures because you know what's coming, right? Yeah. Yeah, we'll be back in the 90s by week's end. My talk title today is May the Force Be With You. You remember those two droids up there from Star Wars? R2-D2 and my very favorite Star Wars character, C-3PO. I loved that guy. The professor, they called him. Yeah, I loved that. So the inspiration for my talk today actually came in part from Star Wars. There's a place on Facebook for Unity ministers from all over the country. It's a private page that you have to be a Unity minister in order to access. And it's a place where Unity ministers share. And I go there about once a week and catch up. You know, I'll go in and read all the comments posted since the weeks before, because that's where we find out that Miss Sally has an ingrown toenail, and Mr. Paul's brother died, and somebody had a great idea for a talk title, and all kinds of really, really good stuff. So I went in there and I was catching up, and I noticed that one of my favorite people on the planet, Reverend Juan from Unity on the Bay in Miami, just a lovely human being, posted this video that was made by Unity back in 2015. It's a Star Wars video, and I hoped to show it to you today, but we couldn't figure out the technology, so I can't show it to you. Suffice it to say that it is this fabulous video. You remember the Star Wars theme, the song? So it's playing, and you remember how at the beginning of Star Wars, the words that introduce the movie, they move through the screen like this? Like they're flying away from us? Well, Unity recreated that whole image and used a Charles Fillmore quote with the Star Wars background. And I never saw it before. And it was made in 2015. That was the year my husband died, so I guess maybe that's why I missed it. But it's brilliant. So that was part of my inspiration. It actually caused me this week to watch the first 2 Star Wars releases over again. What fun. And then the idea for the talk was, the second inspiration for it came Monday night when we were at our new metaphysical Bible study group, and we had so much fun. It was a good beginning. And the subject of subconscious came up, and we had an interesting conversation about it. And I said, well, you know, Unity talks about that, teaches about that, looks at it in a certain way. So maybe I should talk about that this Sunday. So there was that. And as if that wasn't enough, Wednesday night, my Metaphysics 1 class met, and I said, let's start with recapping what we learned last week. So I took people into a meditation and then asked them to explain what they learned so far about consciousness. And it turned out they were still confused. I'm like, oh no, I failed as a teacher. No, that's not true. You know, when the student's ready, they get it. So I said, okay, that settles it. I'm going to be talking about that today. So at this point in my presentation, I would show you that slide, but just suffice it to say it's really cool. And if we figure out how to show it at some point in the future, I'll share it with you. On that Unity Worldwide Ministries video with the Star Wars theme, this is the Charles Fillmore quote that they put there. The scriptures, and this is from his book called The Atom Smashing Power of Mind. How many of you are familiar with that title? Anyone? I know Miss Shanetta, yeah, Sherry, Dottie. Yeah, it's a really fabulous book, The Atom Smashing Power of Mind. So this quote comes from it. Mr. Fillmore said, quote, "The scriptures of all the nations of the world testify to the existence of an invisible force moving men and nature in their activity. Not all agree as to the character of this omnipresent force, universal spirit, but it serves the purpose of being their God under whatever name it appears. The force. See? You know, Mr. Lucas was channeling Charles Fillmore. I'm just saying. Yeah? An invisible force, invisible force. In Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi described the force to his young student this way. He said, it's an ever-present power. It is, he says, the energy that binds the galaxy together. Created and hosted it is by every living being on the planet, in the universe, actually. To put it plainly, he says, the force is a giant energy field that produces and preserves life. I call it God. You may call it whatever you like. I don't see any difference. The energy field that produces and preserves life. I love that. I love that. In the movie, Obi-Wan gently reminds Luke Skywalker over and over and over again to trust the Force. Trust it, he says. He says, know that the Force will guide you to mastery over circumstances, over events that appear dangerous and scary and even life-threatening. My equally favorite Star Wars character, Yoda. Love Yoda. Oh. Made several profound remarks about the Force during the course of all those movies. I chose 3 of them to share. And friends, when I read these, I'm really humbled all over again. I never get tired of being humbled by something that's just so true, so profound, so beautiful that words are not adequate. So here's where art and spirituality come together. When George Lucas or Yoda or whoever wrote these words channels Charles Fillmore, who channeled Buddha, who channeled who knows who, it's an amazingly beautiful, humbling thing. So Yoda made a couple of remarks. He said first, you must feel the Force around you, here, between you, between me and you, the tree, the rock, everywhere. Yes, even between the land and your ship. You must feel the Force. At another time in another movie, he says, for my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we. I love when he does that. I just think it's so cute. And finally, he says, I love this quote, death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Amen, Miss Shanetta says. I couldn't agree more, dear. I couldn't agree more. So this week in my Metaphysics 1 class, Wednesday night that we do on Zoom, we were looking at the assignment for the week, and I asked somebody or to read aloud one of the small passages in the book, because I wanted us to be reminded of this powerful teaching. Now, the words in that book were written way, way, way long time ago. I don't want to quote a year because I might be wrong, but if I were to guess, I would say the 1920s or so, maybe 30s, about the time that people who were following Charles Fillmore, like disciples, coming to Unity Village and hanging on his every word and all that sort of thing. And a bunch of them decided that they needed to begin to capture his teaching and write it down and then make manuals and books out of it and begin to teach other people what it said or what he said. So about that time, someone wrote down a lot of his words. So these words are actually part of Unity's foundation. And they're not words that I think that we hear all the time. I certainly don't, nor have I spoken them in as long as I can remember. So when I came upon them, I was stopped in my tracks. I was like, whoa. Let me point this out so that other people can be stopped in their tracks. It's a good place to stop. And here's the quote. Friends, our great work, and in the textbook, great is capitalized and work is capitalized. That's how important this is. Our great work is to use the Force as our inspiration to serve humanity with loving kindness. You know, there's a thread, friends. I don't know if you're aware of it, but I've noticed it some years ago. There's a thread through all of Unity's teachings. There's a common thread. At the end of the day, it always comes back to, what do you do with all this understanding you acquire? You serve humanity in whatever way is yours to do. So we all do it differently. So when I came across those words, I just had to stop and invite everybody to take them in and reflect on them. So we live in this great energy field called the Force or God or whatever you want to call it. What do we do with it? How do we use it? There's the question. Okay, fine, we live in it. Now what do we do with it? How do we use it? Well, we use our minds. We use our minds. That's how we engage this force, this energy field. That's how we engage God, by our minds. Let me clear up something. I'm not talking about our brain. I'm not talking about our brain, friends. Freud discovered that the mind was much more than the brain, and no one's disputed it ever since, and people have expanded on the idea. We're not talking about the brain. I came across a book this week called Transform Your Life, written by a Buddhist monk, and I excerpted a passage for you, because for me, it's really important to know that Mr. Fillmore or Unity isn't the only place where you find these teachings. They are found everywhere once you start to look and find it's humbling to see it show up. I just gave you one example. It came across in the movie called Star Wars, or the series called Star Wars. So this is what this Buddhist monk wrote. Some people think that the mind is the brain or some other part or function of the body, but this is incorrect. The brain is a physical object that can be seen with the eyes, can be photographed, and operated on. The mind, on the other hand, is not a physical object. It can't be seen with the eyes. It can't be photographed, and it can't be repaired by surgery. The brain, therefore, friends, is not the mind. In fact, there's nothing within the body that can be identified as being our mind, because our body and our mind are two different entities. He goes on to say, in Buddhist scriptures, our body is compared to a guest house, and our mind to a guest dwelling in the guest house. I like that. He says, when we die, our mind leaves our body and goes wherever it goes, just like a guest leaving a guest house and going somewhere else. If the mind isn't a brain, though, or any other part of the body, what is it? This Buddhist monk says it's a formless continuum that functions to perceive and understand. Humbling, friends, to me. So the mind has a job. It has a job to do. How? How does that work? This is where things get interesting and tricky. Not for me, and hopefully not for everybody else at some point in time. So let me talk about that a little bit. It would appear as though this thing called the mind has three levels. Let's call them levels. It's the best word I can think of to describe what is going on there, according to not Linda, but according to a lot of master teachers Linda's studied. The mind appears to have different levels. The first one I want to talk about is the subconscious. Use the simile of a house, if you will, and I did have a slide, but we lost it. Picture a house, little house, right? Two-story house, you know, the kind that they have up north. How many of you have ever been up north? You know the kind of house I'm talking about. I mean, we have some here, but they're few and far between, you know. So picture the subconscious as the ground level, the foundation. Picture it that. It's the foundation. Or the basement, if you have a basement. I grew up with a basement. Now I don't have a basement. I have a crawl space. Go figure. I prefer a basement, just for the record. But we don't have them because we're at sea level. That subconscious level, gosh, that's where everything we've ever thought, everything we've ever done, everything we've ever felt, smelled, experienced lives. Can you imagine how many bites it would take to store all that? It's incomprehensible nearly. The mystery of the mind. You can't destroy energy. A thought, an action, an idea, a smell. Those things are energy. You can't destroy them. They live forever in your subconscious. So I want to conduct an experiment with you. I want you to tap into your subconscious with me. I want to bring this point home. You were given a, are you eating your chocolate, Nancy? Oh, okay. I saw you chewing. Okay. Now, if you're allergic to chocolate, please don't do this experiment. Or if you're diabetic and you can't have it, you know, I'm not in charge of your decisions. But I gave you a Hershey kiss, or Mrs. Dell gave you a Hershey kiss for me. I asked her to. Thank you, honey. So you have one. I'd like you to unwrap it now. Don't eat it. Please, play along. If you need another one because you couldn't wait and you ate it, raise your hand, we'll get you one. Jeff? And I have extra. If you do this well, we'll give you one on the way out. So take that paper and put it in your pocket or your purse. Do not leave it on the floor. Just saying. And you've got this Hershey Kiss in your hand. So let it in the palm of your hand or pick it up with 2 fingers, whatever you want to do, and I want you to smell it. I want you to smell it. Close your eyes and smell it. Mm-hmm. I bet you memories are coming up. Don't eat it. Just smell it. You see how memories, you may not be aware of it, but you gosh darn well remember how it smells, and you remember what's about to come. All right? So now, don't chew it up. Put it in your mouth and let it in on your tongue. Put it behind your teeth. Did you already chew it and eat it? Oh, yeah, you know. I taught high school, and you would be one of the students that I would sit in the corner. He's so bad. So bad. Everybody needs a Jeff in their classroom. Just saying. So, put it in your mouth and put it on your tongue or behind your teeth and let it melt. Close your eyes and experience it. Don't be analyzing it or looking around to see what somebody else is doing or seeing if it's in your fingers. Just close your eyes, let it melt, and experience it. Because the saliva in your mouth will do its work and integrate with that piece of chocolate and break it down, and it will melt. And when it's melted down to a nub or nothing, go ahead and swallow it. But the point I want to make First, let me ask you a question. Was that pleasurable? Those of you who actually ate it, was it pleasurable? Do you remember ever doing it before? Yeah, was it pleasurable then too? So the memories of that experience live in our subconscious, and they were triggered just when we smelled it. All those prior experiences of eating chocolate live within you, in your subconscious. It's nearly incomprehensible to me, but true. Now, deciding, if it's so pleasurable, deciding, however, not to eat chocolate every time you see a piece because it's pleasurable is something we all do as well. Some of us better than others. My sweet husband loved chocolate. He loved candy stores. Oh, my goodness gracious. And he would buy a bag of candy, and it would last him a month. He would have a piece every couple days. I'd be like, it would be gone before we get home, in my case. Yeah, and I know I'm not the only one. So the decisions that we make about how often to allow ourselves to have that experience all over again vary. They're all over the place. But the point is, at some point, we decide to harness our desire for chocolate. So the memory of eating chocolate is in the subconscious. The decision to harness the desire to eat chocolate is in our conscious mind. The subconscious doesn't initiate a new idea ever. It's not its function. The conscious mind takes the subconscious memories and does something with them. That's our conscious mind. Make sense? Now, during that process, we may actually think, thank God I passed on eating that bag of chocolate today. The moment I said thank God, I tapped the superconscious. So there's something greater than what I, small I, alone can manage to do. That's the superconscious. So it would appear that our mind actually operates on 3 different levels. Does that make sense? Give me some feedback. Yeah? If I ask you a week from now, are you still going to say yeah? No, I know. That's why some of these messages bear repeating. And I mean, for myself as well. You know, the more times I deliver them, the clearer they get for me, which is good for you. That's how that works. So we don't eat chocolate all the time, probably any of us, and some of us not at all. We do with that memory whatever we do with that memory. Our conscious mind recalls how pleasurable it is, looks at our weight, looks at our blood sugar, looks at whatever it looks at, and makes a decision what to do with that experience. And then sometimes we actually turn that decision over to God, meaning that we say, all right, God, this is my plan. You got my back? The answer is yes, always. The conscious mind always has the power, the privilege to reach into the subconscious, bring up an old memory and heal it. Have you ever done that? Have you ever brought up an old memory and healed it? I have, multiple times in my life. You know, we call them old tapes. Maybe there's something that runs in us based on an experience from whatever. My 6th year, my 12th year, my 16th year, my 2nd year, my 27th year, I don't know. But there was an experience that left an imprint in my subconscious mind, and every once in a while something triggers it. So I know it needs to be healed. I want to heal it. So I bring it up. And I turn to superconsciousness. Now, saw me look up because that's a habit I have, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter where I look. And I say, wow, God, let's shine some light on this one. That's how we use the superconscious. That superconsciousness is called the level of God mind. the level of God mind. It's the realm of divine ideas. It's that place where nothing ever changes it. If we had a bad day, it doesn't change the superconscious, ever. Superconscious is constant. It's good. It's love. It's peace. It's all those 12 powers. When we become spiritualized, that is, when we become aware of this, and then we understand it, we begin then to practice it. And it makes all the difference, not only in our lives, but in the lives of everyone we encounter. That's how we serve humanity, right? By our reaction to things. And our reaction to things gets better and better and better as soon as we come to understand the superconsciousness and externalize it. Externalize it. Allow it to work through us and as us. That's what I mean by externalizing it. The connection Mr. Fillmore taught between the superconscious mind and the conscious mind is made through prayer, silence, affirmations, or just simply by speaking the truth. You make that connection. So, the levels of mind, they're not real. I mean, you can't identify mind. You can't point to it, and so you can hardly point to the levels of it. But it would appear as though it acts like there are these 3 levels, because in reality, we're pretty complicated things. You know? We've got a subconscious, it turns out. And then we have a conscious, it turns out. And then there's something beyond both of those, it turns out. So we might say, may the force be with you, and I love that expression, by the way. Or we might say, go with God. You hear people say that, be with God, go with God. As though the force or God is somehow separate from you, and we know it's not. We know better, but it's our perception that it is, right? Our perception is that it is. Probably 80% of the time, to truth be told, our perception is that it's something separate. When we come together on Sunday mornings and sit in the silence together, we know better, right? When we do our own meditation, or we meditate together or pray together in a class, or prayer chaplains pray with another person, we know better. But, 80% of the time we live in this perception that it's separate from us. So, friends, there it is, consciousness. What is consciousness? Well, it appears as though there's 3 levels to it, It's our current experience in the now moment. It's what we do with those memories, our understanding of God, and how we connect them. How we connect them is our consciousness. Some people have lost sight of God altogether in their lives, so their consciousness is going to show up entirely different than mine or yours. Some people are a little bit aware of God, kind of, sort of, and so their consciousness is going to be different. And then you have people like the Dalai Lama, who just goes around with this glorious smile on his face that never goes away, and his consciousness is way different because he hangs out connected to the superconscious probably almost 100% of the time, I'm guessing. Non-wavering. So Yoda said, let the force be your guide. So I say, may the force be with you. Thank you. Have a fabulous day.
don't you stand by me?
Stand by me.
Just as long
Just as long.
as you stand by me. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't
No, I
be
won't
afraid.
be afraid.
Just as long
Just as long
as you
as you
stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me.
stand by me.
Why don't you stand by me?
Stand by
Just as long
just as long
as you
as you
stand by me. Ooh, darling, darling, stand by me.
stand by
Why don't you stand by me?
by me.
Just as long
Just as long
as you stand
as you
stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, if the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long
just as long
as you stand by me. Hey, darling, darling, stand by me.
stand by me.
Why don't you stand by me?
Stand by me.
Just as long
Just as long
as you
stand by me.
Oh, darling, darling, stand by me. Why don't you stand by me?
Stand by me.
Just as long as you stand, please stand. Why don't you stand? Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
Thank you, Jeff and Linda. And thank you, Reverend Linda. And I just have made a prediction a long time ago. Someday the keyboard's going to crash. If you ever watch Jeff play, especially during the peace song, actually. Someday it's going to take a tumble. Now is the time in the service when we take out our gifts and our tithes. We hold them in our hands, bless them with our energy, and we say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I love to give. Now, this slide's right. Linda Woodcox will be our prayer chaplain today. She'll be over in the alcove if you would like to share affirmative prayer with her after the service. Chair yoga with Lana. Now I'm going to get this right. It's Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, and you have a special going, right? Okay. 2 classes, you purchase 2 and you get a third one free. Spiritual discussion group, the next one will be Tuesday, June 1st at 7 o'clock, led by discussion leader John Hayes. Prayer circle is every Thursday morning at 11. A metaphysical Bible study. We had a good time last week. I would encourage anybody who is interested in this to join us. It's going to be challenging. And I've heard a lot of metaphysical interpretations in unity along the way, but never that I've created. So it's learning. And at one point, Reverend Linda looked at me and said, "What are you thinking?" And I think I answered something like, "I don't know." So it's going to be, it's fun and it's interesting. And we actually have homework. We have a little one to do. So anyway, join us. Next week, Reverend Linda's off for an adventure, and Reverend Vernell Nelson will be here with us. Thank you. You come up here. Oh, you have an announcement. Yeah, go, sorry, go. Yeah, you can.
On Wednesday, 6 o'clock, we will have our choir rehearsal. All are welcome. All you have to do is be able to walk through the door.
Not even talk. Huh?
Singing optional.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to invite up to the podium our dear Paul.
Paul,
Graduated
Paul
up,
Avant,
the young Paul.
young Paul.
We got this chair for you. Everybody needs to sit down sometime. Oh, it's the balloon. I'm sorry. You don't have to sit.
You don't really
And
have.
some person really tied this to a chair. No, okay. Hold on to that tightly.
This is one of the fun
Sit
things.
down, all right?
This is one of the fun things I get to do as your board president. But most of you know, I think, that I'm also a retired high school teacher.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
I'm
thought you were
supposed to
done.
talk first.
You told. Okay.
We just want to honor Paul today. It is not easy in this world, in this society, to navigate through, get to the point of graduation, and be in a totally positive path, which he has been and is. He's a regular on the honor roll. He contributed to his school extracurricular activities, being one of their star basketball players. And he's headed to college, most likely, I think, in Massachusetts. But anyway, he's headed in that direction. So as a congregation, we wanted to honor him. And we want to give him a little memento. I'm going to explain it. Here, this is the case. It's a compass. It's a kind of a tradition when someone's facing a big transition, like graduate from high school, college, even different things in life, to give them a compass. And this one I love because it's compass, points you to the magnetic North Pole. But when we want to get someplace, we need to get to a place on a road and geographically. And that has become referred to as the true north. So we want to give this to Paul in honor of where his life is going to go now, that he can always follow the true north. And above north on this compass, which I love, I want one, it says God, because God is always our true north. And on the back, from Joshua, it says, "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord thy God is with thee wherever you go." And we hope you'll remember us and continue on the wonderful path you're on. Now go. Now you got it. Not yet. No.
You-
Oh, Jeff gets to talk now.
You told me you're just gonna say a couple words.
That was a couple words for me.
That was a lot. Okay. I just known this young man for a very long time, since he was like barely potty trained. And we used to teach Paul and myself, we taught this camp and still teach at this camp up in Fort Pierce. And he was a little one, thought he knew everything. And it turns out he does know something. He's a very smart man, but he doesn't want anyone to know that he's smart. And that really cracks me up, because apparently it's not cool to be smart. So this is why I am the way I am. So I'm really smart. I know. And he was so smart, and I've watched him grow. I've seen his growth. Him and his boys thought that, they could jump me one day, and they didn't realize I was a wrestling champion. And they all ended up on the ground, begging for mercy. They found God then. Oh my God. Yeah, so he found it. We went, no, this was like last year, right? No, no, it was a long time ago. But he's also, I've seen him excel, and a lot of people don't know that he's musically inclined. He found out you can make money online, making beats and selling them. I didn't even know that, but he's been working with me in the studio and doing stuff that I didn't fully understand, but he's very intelligent. I can just see him going many places, and I'm happy for his new journey. And this is what we give to you, okay? Here, man, here. Young man. Yes. Congratulations, brother. Don't forget your chair, man.
All right, now if you would all stand, well, stay standing and join us in the peace song and hope that the keyboard doesn't crash.